The 1 Minute Clutter Test is something that I use to help me keep track of exactly what I have and where I'm storing it. It can technically be used with any type of clutter, but I found it works especially well with storage clutter. And in today's video, I'm going to share exactly what this 1 Minute Clutter Test is, how you can use it and apply it in your own life, and some actionable strategies to deal with storage clutter. Let's jump in. Hello and welcome to Abundantly Minimal. My name is Sarah and I'm excited to share this video as part of Clutter Free January, an epic collaboration with many different minimal creators, all about helping you declutter your home, specifically your kitchen, your wardrobe, your paper clutter, and this week, storage clutter. The links to the playlists will be in the description field below that you can check out after you watch this video. So I'm sure you're curious, what is the 1 Minute Clutter Test and how do I use it? The premise is, could you find and access any of your items within a 1 minute time frame? If you started a timer and went to go look for one of your items, would you be able to come back to wherever you're at within 1 minute with that particular item? Of course, maybe 1 minute is too short for your situation. If you've got a pretty large house, it's very possible that walking from one end of the house to the other would take up most of that time. And it's also possible that some of the items that you might be storing, you have stored and organized in a very efficient way, but due to some heavy objects or things stacked upon each other, it wouldn't necessarily be ideal to access in 1 minute. That's fine, but we can still use this time-based guideline to help us understand and manage our clutter. Now, the 1 Minute Clutter Test can be used with any type of clutter, whether that's cookware and certain types of dishes you have, books, clothing items or wardrobe accessories, office supplies, workout equipment, electronics, really anything. But I do find they're going to be most helpful with storage clutter, because storage clutter we tend to not have as clear of a grasp on. For example, just using regular household items, if I told you to pause the video, go and find a can opener and bring it back, I bet you could do that within a minute if you're in your space. Hopefully the can opener has a clear spot in your house where you are able to access it regularly. Likewise, maybe I ask you to go find a pair of sandals or maybe a certain type of book. You insert the name of one of your favorite books. In these situations, it's likely that they do have a spot where those items are stored. You know exactly where that spot is and you can go grab them. But let's make it a little bit more difficult. What if I told you to find some photos of you and your significant other or another loved one in your life? What if I asked you to go find kids' art projects? What about the spare light bulbs? What about your summer decorations or the manual to your phone? If I asked you to find these, of course, some of you I'm sure would be able to, but do those seem a little bit more difficult? These are the types of items where the 1 Minute Clutter Test can be very useful to us. Of course, at this point, you might be thinking, what's the point of even using this test? And I personally love using it for 4 reasons. Number 1, I know I'm covered in case of an emergency. Hopefully we never find ourselves in the situation where you've got 5 minutes to grab what you can before heading out to avoid a natural disaster or some other big issue. But those things happen sometimes. And if you've got a clear understanding of where your stuff is, you can grab what's most valuable really quickly and head out. So it's a sense of peace of mind to know that you're not leaving behind things that are just disorganized and you don't have a concept of where they are. It's also so helpful to have an exact place for everything so you know where to find something when you're looking for it. Whether this is more urgent or just to help you save time, you've got a clear spot so you can find the item fast in a minute. It can also help us avoid purchasing items that we already own, we just don't know where they are or we don't know what we have. If you've got a clear home for all of your different items, then you know where to look so you can check out your inventory before you make another purchase that you're going to regret later when you find out you already had what you needed. It also allows you to make the most of the items you have because you can access them easily. And I think a good example of this last one has to do with the way I store my photos. I used to just have this big mass of photos and didn't necessarily know what was what. I didn't know where the most important ones were. I had no organizational system. And guess what? Because of that, I pretty much never looked at the photos. However, I did go through and simplify things. I decluttered extra duplicate photos that I didn't need and that just didn't turn out that well. And I've only kept the best, and I've got them stored in envelopes based upon type. So I've got photos of me and my husband Jake. I've got photos from our travels. I've got photos from my college days. And I have them all organized like that in a way that's super easy for me to find. And even the container I store them in is very easy to find, and I'm able to access them quickly. Let's say you gave the 1 minute clutter test a try and were not able to pass it, or you didn't even have to try it and you know that some of your storage areas are so cluttered you don't know what you have or where to find different items. I've got tips for you. I want to share 6 different tips to help you tackle this storage clutter. The first tip is one of the most important, and that is to make sure that each of your storage areas is a purpose-driven space. Now, maybe the purpose is how the space was designed, or you create the purpose. For example, maybe the coat closet, you try to keep just the coats and outerwear there. In the pantry, you keep food and kitchen essentials. Or you decide what is a need for your space, such as in our second bedroom, our office space, I keep my business resources in the closet there since we don't have extra clothes or anything that needs to be stored there. So make sure each storage area in your space has a clear focus. If you have a hodgepodge of all these different items, that's not going to help. And ideally, let's tackle one space at a time and make sure you have an understanding of what each space is going to be. There might possibly be 1 or 2 storage areas where you've got multiple purposes there, and that's fine. You know your space best. But when we have a clear intention behind the space, it prevents us from shoving random things in there that don't belong. It's so important that we also tackle mystery clutter. Do you have any boxes or containers in your space that you truly don't know what's inside? These are so important to look at. Number 1, they may be taking up a lot of space. Number 2, there might be long lost clutter in those that is then valuable to you. Or maybe you find junk that you don't know why you are saving, and then now you can get rid of a larger volume of stuff fairly easily. So definitely identify. If you see that box in the corner of that closet and you have no idea what's inside, let's take a look at it and see if we can take action. Step number 3 is to make sure that there is no homeless clutter. Every object deserves a home and deserves a clear place where it belongs. When we have a home for every item, it prevents us from leaving our stuff around and just letting stuff get junky. As I mentioned briefly in these other tips, 1 space at a time, storage clutter might be some of the most overwhelming type of clutter to deal with because there is a lot and it's often really packed together. So it's going to take a little bit longer than if you were decluttering your bedroom or bathroom or kitchen. So be patient with yourself, 1 space at a time. I'd rather you go 1 step at a time rather than try to overcommit, do everything, and then struggle. Tip number 5 is to look into hidden storage opportunities if you are in need of some additional space. If your storage area feels a bit cramped or chaotic, could you find little nooks and crannies and other areas where you could store things in a way that makes sense and maybe is out of sight? Could under the bed storage be effective for you? Under the couch storage even? Are there any hidden areas behind doors where there's just empty space that you could use some hidden storage for? I know in our laundry room, there's some, wasted space, at least it was wasted space behind our door of the laundry room, but we added some shelving and a couple little baskets, and it's just some little cute storage area behind there that we can put different odds and ends and items related to the laundry room, etc. And lastly, tip number 6 is especially helpful if you are newer to decluttering, and that is perhaps to start first in other areas rather than storage, just because like I mentioned earlier, storage clutter can be some of the most difficult. And if you can build up your progress using other areas, you might find success with that. I do have a free 10-step plan to help you start your decluttering journey if you are new to this, that I will leave linked below. Again, it is a free download. And these steps are going to set you up for success on your decluttering journey so you can work gradually and build momentum and put systems in place that help you be successful. So again, I will leave the link to that in the description field of this video if that applies to you. We talked a lot today about the 1 minute clutter test and some storage area decluttering strategies, but if you want to keep the fun going, remember, you can check out that Clutter Free January playlist for some other related videos. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new around here, consider subscribing to the channel right up here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!